And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, General Manager at WEIU. My co-host is Corbin Cox. Welcome, Corbin.
Hello.
And today we're going to be again talking to Mr. Blake Pierce.
Good afternoon.
Blake is the Vice President of Finance at Royal King Supply. He's also involved with Emerald Acre Sports Connection, and his brother just it's been open, but it had the grand opening this week of the Warren James Winery. So just a few things going on in your life.
A few things.
Most importantly, though, is you're a new father. So
I am a new father. So. He's was 3 weeks old as of yesterday.
So that's pretty sweet. So
yeah.
Congrats on that. I guess we'll start with the winery because the grand opening was this past weekend. Talk about what Warren James, the winery, did on the weekend, and kind of reflect back on that.
Yeah, it was awesome. So we did a ribbon cutting at 11 o'clock with both Chambers of Commerce, which we're members of in Mattoon and Charleston. And we had live music, we did fireworks, we had a couple extra vendors there to help with the crowds. I think I estimated probably over 500 people,
wow.
I think, throughout the whole day. And we're still learning a lot as a staff, so people were patient as lines sometimes were a little bit long, but tremendous feedback we've gotten. People seem to really enjoy the food that we have. The wines have gotten good reviews. We do some fun cocktail stuff, but really just the atmosphere. People really enjoy the scenery, opportunity to relax and have a drink and be with friends, and that's really what it's all about for us.
So I looked on your website and it said you guys have been working on this, like the idea was as early as 2014. So that's been almost a decade. What does that feel like, finally having it open after that long?
Yeah, that's when Cole plugged into it. It first popped into my head in 2010.
Oh, wow.
And but it was kind of like a joke. It was like, maybe I should do a winery someday after I went to one. And then Cole was trying to figure out his career path, and when he ended up deciding to go to school to get his certifications, after his time at Eastern, he went through Washington State University for viticulture, enology, and wine business management. And at that point, it was just, hey, this seems to be a growing field. Cole likes to work with his hands, and so he started doing that. As he finished up, we kind of said, is there a way that we could do this as a business venture? We were able to figure out a way to make that work with just he and I as the partners. We looked around in areas to do it, decided we wanted to do it locally in our hometowns, and here we are. So yes, it was a culmination of a long process, and what kind of made it special, so I think I've told the story before, the name comes from my middle name is Warren, and his middle name is James, and those are both family names as well for us. But his son, Lincoln, his middle name is James, and my new boy's middle name is Warren. And so we had them both there, and Lincoln, he's 4 years old. He did the ribbon cutting. He was all excited. So it was a special moment for the family.
Well, my middle name is James, too. So
there you go.
I feel very seen.
I'm the oddball out of this one. I'm married to a Jamie. Does that count?
Yes.
For people who have no idea how to get there, it's pretty easy, but it's still a little bit out. I don't want to say out of the way, but a little bit of the country. So talk about the location, but on top of that, also the number of employees that you have so far. And
sure.
Go into some detail.
Yeah, so we have, between Mattoon and Charleston, we wanted to have a location that was kind of central in the county for ease of access to get to for people. Wanted to be off a main road, and we wanted to be relatively close to the interstate, so if we have that kind of traffic of people coming in to visit. So it's on Lerner Road, so where the new Hilton Garden Inn is on the corner of Lerner and Route 16. If you just go to the south about a mile and a half, you'll see our location on the left side of the road. It's before you get to Seven Hills Road, if people are familiar with that, or kind of catty corner from the church that's out there. And then our employees, we have, I think, about 20 employees total. A lot of those are part-time due to the kind of the nature of the business. But we have a great team, all different folks. We have people that are retired that are helping us out. We have kids that are in school that are helping us out. And we are always looking to hire. So particularly I've been pushing on Cole. We need to try to probably get some more EIU students to help out there. But if someone's looking for a job, I think a pretty fun place, Cole claims, and if they want a good boss, I think that part is very subjective. But certainly we would entertain that. Go to our website and submit an application.
There you go. Corbin?
So what has been like one of the biggest challenges you faced, like opening it? I mean, it's been such a long process. I imagine there were quite a few bumps in the road.
Several bumps in the road. To give you context, we wanted to be open in April. That didn't happen. The construction process took a little bit longer than we were wanting. Several components with that. There was some supply chain shortages specifically some electrical components that were on. It was 13 months before we got them in.
Oh, wow.
Regulatory issues. So as a winery and as a producer, we have to be licensed on a local, state, and federal basis. And figuring and navigating that process was a little more time consuming than we anticipated. And then the people. I continue to be amazed. People are the number one aspect of probably any business. And getting the right folks with the right culture in there. And in that industry, you get turnover pretty regularly as well. And so getting right, good help to help make a good experience for people has probably been challenging.
Yeah.
And one of the things about a winery, people think you'll have your own wine immediately. It takes a while. So what's the process of getting your own winery from on location as opposed to some of the winery you're bringing in now for
Sure. So from the time a grape plant is first planted from a seed, it takes 4 to 5 years before you get a full crop to be able to utilize for wine. So our vines were a year old when they were planted last year. And so they're about 2.5 years old now. So it'll probably be probably not next summer, but probably the following summer before we're utilizing our own crop exclusively to produce wine. But what I didn't know, I always heard it took 4 to 5 years to get wine. We had grapes on all of our types of vines this year. So that was kind of exciting to see for the first time that, hey, this is actually going to work. In the meantime, we'll bring in juice and fruit to start producing our own wine. But most people don't know this. The fastest you can make a white wine is 3 months, and the fastest you can make a red wine is 6 months. Well, if you don't have your building done more than 6 months in advance, ignoring all the regulatory things you have to do to sell a bottle of wine, you don't have your wine ready. So that's where we found ourselves. That was one of the challenges with getting open. So we partnered with some wineries, 5 wineries, one from California, one from Washington, one from Ohio, Michigan, and then Northern Illinois. And I think we sampled 250 wines, which sounds like fun until you have to actually go through and do it. And procured with them, so where it's our wine, it's our label on it, but we'll slowly transition that into wine that we're producing, and then transitioning into wine that we produce from our own grapes. So Cole's hoping to have his first batches of wine ready this winter.
Okay,
Nice,
cool.
nice.
And you have anything for the winery before we switch
no,
to
I'm
Emerald
good.
Acres?
I'm good.
Okay. We're going to switch. We'll put your Emerald Acres hat on now. There you go. Again, where we're at right now in the process, and we'll get into some weeds.
Sure. Well, speaking of weeds, there's some weeds out there right now. A lot of dirt moving too. So the Emerald Acres project is moving along actually pretty well. Maybe not to the untrained eye, but there is a lot of dirt moving out at the site that's over there behind kind of Home Depot area. And they have been working on the building pad for the indoor facility. So that's the 140,000 square foot approximately facility, 8 basketball courts, which can be 16 volleyball courts, locker rooms, family entertainment center, and then Sarah Bush's walk-in clinic is going to be in that facility as well. I think we'll start to see some vertical construction on that in December. So it'll really start catching, I think, people's attention at that point. And we're targeting an opening for that in, I think, September of next year. And the plan is we have tournaments starting at that point. So the company that's managing it, Sports Facilities Companies, is currently actively searching for the general manager of that facility. They're doing a nationwide search for the top position, and then they'll start to hire some of the other roles. But I think they'll look to start booking tournaments probably the first of the year for next year. Then on the what we're calling phase 2, or the outdoor components with the outdoor soccer and baseball fields, those we're almost to a completely finalized plan and bid budget on that, and we're working through some of the financial steps we need to in order to fund that portion of the project. Most notably is the approval of a TIF that will be based off of the new businesses, the new commercial development in that area. And so that will hopefully be approved at the council meeting, I think, on the 3rd. So, and then after that point, it's pretty much as soon as we have enough commitments from commercial tenants, we'll be able to greenlight that facility. We're hoping to break ground on that part in the spring of 24, and it goes a little faster construction-wise, so it could be open even by the end of 2024.
Cool.
Do you have any businesses that you can share with us that are interested, or it's a lot of hush-hush?
This is the fun question.
Yeah.
It's not as hush-hush as it once was, because I think there's a fair amount that's been found out on the internet. So the challenge we have is all these brands that are interested, they all want to make their own announcement on when they come to town. And some even put within their leases or purchase agreements that they have the right to do that. And so we're never going to have, as much as I would love to, I'm never going to have a press conference where I get to announce, XYZ restaurant brand and stores are all coming to town and everybody would cheer because they all want to control that themselves. What people have found, I think, out online is we do have marketing brochures as we try to recruit additional tenants. So once we have enough interest, we'll go ahead and put them on some marketing materials to try to help convince other groups to come in as well. And I think even some renderings of the buildings are floating around online as well. So I'm not going to confirm or deny any of those, but I'll leave you to your own research of what you can find
We still
that's
have
out
20
there.
minutes left.
Yeah.
We can weasel
What
it
about
out.
hotel, motel, or what's the Saturday? I mean, are you still
That has actually been the more challenging aspect of the project. We've seen actually really good traction on the retailer side, and we've seen actually really good traction on the restaurant fast casual user side. Hotels have been a little more challenging. So right now, I feel pretty good that we're going to have at least one new one opening up, hopefully around the same time the facilities are opening up. I think we're originally projecting 2 or 3. I think that will probably happen over time. It's an industry where people really like to see what is the occupancy and use of one before they want to do a second one or a third one. And they're not cheap things to do either. But the good news is a lot of the folks that we're getting on the retail and the restaurant side is going much better than we planned. And so our funding model, we need a certain amount of development, but we're seeing stronger on one side and not as strong on the other side. And I think what we're going to find out is we should still end up in a good place.
And Mattoon's always had a pretty decent amount of hotels, and then with the newest place opening,
Yes.
Charleston needs hotel rooms, in town.
Yeah, and what's been exciting about the hotels, if people have been noticing, is actually all the existing hotels in Mattoon have started to get redone.
Yeah.
They're doing work on them, revamping the rooms. You've seen some brand changes, and what I think is exciting about that is, 10 years ago, you might have just seen those hotels continue to crumble, take a lower flag, become places people don't really want to stay. And I think because of some of the excitement of what's going on in the area, people are reinvesting into those properties, and that's just a good sign for everybody.
The I-57 interchange, you've heard anything about that, or when they're going to start to do that work? 'Cause that's going to be, it won't be chaos, but it's not going to be fun with your,
It's not going to be
your
fun.
stuff going on, I-57 going on.
Yeah, so I'm not the authority on that. Last I heard, that project's been delayed.
I heard that as well.
I think the state has a lot of irons in the fire right now, and so I'm not sure that they've even bid that project yet. So I think that's going to be probably pushed out, maybe a year or two from what they thought it was going to be. So we might not have the construction going on both at the same time, but it will probably be shortly thereafter.
Maybe just a little bit of overlap instead of a lot of. I mean, a little be better than a lot, correct?
Yeah.
So there you go. Have you thought about day one when that first sport is going to play, of making it a big deal, and whether it's volleyball or I guess probably be volleyball or basketball at that time? Have you started thinking those fun? Big
We will
picture things?
we'll do a big, ribbon cutting, groundbreaking reception. We'll probably do some. I haven't made it that far in my head yet, but we probably should do some event for our supporters that we've had, maybe in advance of that. But yeah, especially as the overall plans have come together, you can really start to get into the programming side of it, and particularly as the group that runs it starts to fill those positions, they'll start working on that as well.
So you're vice president of finance at Rural King? Right?
Yeah,
Or-
my job titles changes on a somewhat regular basis. So nowadays I'm actually back over doing real estate development.
Okay, gotcha. So could you talk at all about the collaboration between Rural King and Emerald Acres and what that's been like? Or
I certainly can.
okay, that was a
You
question
can't
for
work
you or
Yeah,
someone else?
yeah, no, I can. So I've had the fortunate opportunity to be at Rural King about 11 years now, and have worn different hats within that capacity as well. But Rural King has been a tremendous backer of the project, and is even on the tagline of the logo of cultivated by Rural King. The involvement has been immense from just committing people like myself, letting me work on this during the day instead of the core business of what we do. Financially, has donated the property there for the use. And then the amount of investment that it takes to do all this commercial development as well on top of that. And really just the perspective of giving back to the community. That's an area that we've really focused as an organization more so in the last several years. And finding that if we're going to keep and attract good people at Rural King, we have to have things for people to want to do and reasons people want to live in the community. And that's what's really driven all of the involvement as it relates to the sports complex project.
When Emerald Acres opens in its fullest, do you know like the number of employees? I know there'll be a lot of part-time when you think about umpires and whatever kind of worker, but what about like full-time employees?
I think this can be round numbers. I think they'll employ a total number of people of around 60 people, just the Emerald Acres complex itself, and that wouldn't include people working at the Sarah Bush Clinic or any of the businesses that might pop up around it. But a lot of those also are probably part-time, working during the tournaments. Yeah. I would have to go back and look at how many full-time roles they'll have, but I think their staff is I think it's at least, I want to say 8 to 10 full-time people that will be there, because they'll have a finance person, marketing people, tournament coordinators, general managers, maintenance folks. So it's an operation.
Getting Sarah Bush to open up the walk-in clinic out there on site. Can you take us a little bit what you can tell us about that process and how excited you were when they?
So this project is only possible through the coordination of just about every business or large employer in our area. So Sarah Bush has been a tremendous partner with this project. They saw the opportunity to come alongside the project to support it financially by having the center there, but then also just the experience for the users of the facility. So a kid turns his ankle, they can go right on site and have someone take a look at that immediately. And if they need to go someplace else, we can get them shipped out. Little brother's sick at a tournament, they can go walk in clinic and get him taken care of that weekend when somebody might be 3 hours from home. That is something that is unique in these centers that I don't think you see. I think you travel a lot.
I've never seen that anywhere. So that's you're going to be the only one that has that, at least in this part of the country.
Yeah, and fortunately they were needing some additional space, so I think they're going to convert their current center into some other offices or purposes. So that's been immense. But First Mid is helping finance the project. They've been a huge supporter, and a lot of other businesses are financially supporting this thing. So they've been wonderful.
Corbin?
Yeah, we talked to Mattoon in Motion, what was that, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I know they've had kind of a large hand in the project. Have you worked a lot with them, or has it been?
So I've served on a lot of boards and committees, so I've had some involvement in Mattoon in Motion as well. They actually had contemplated, and I think maybe they or maybe the mayor spoken on the past of the city, oddly enough, and Mattoon in Motion had some kind of sports tourism objective within their own master plans. And we kind of came along with this idea after seeing it from other folks, and when we first presented it to the city and some of the folks that are involved with Mattoon in Motion, it was like, that's exactly what we had, the type of thing we had in mind. So it was kind of a seamless transition. There's a lot of volunteers that serve on common things that have been involved, but when Mattoon in Motion did their most recent strategic planning and goal setting, we actually set this one outside of that process because it was kind of already going. But that has been a transformative process for Mattoon, and I think Charleston's currently doing a similar process of establishing community goals and committees like that.
Yeah.
When we think about the open lots and the development area that really makes this thing happen, and I think that was one of the things you talked about last couple times you've been here, everybody thinks big name businesses coming into town or popular name businesses, but are local businesses also inquiring about either moving, open another new shop? I mean, because that'd be another thing that if there was local names out there, that is a possibility.
Sure. Yes, you get inquiries from just about everybody. What makes it challenging in that area with more local users is it's all new build construction, and that is not cheap today. And so you have to have a business structure or entity that can withstand the cost of what it takes to build those new facilities. So that yields a lot of national tenants that usually have a little bit higher sales volumes. But no, we have particularly there's one local restaurant user that has reached out to us that we're trying to see if we can make a deal work. Love the opportunity to do that. It's just, like I said, economically sometimes it's tough to put together.
That's what they have. I was looking on your website a little bit too. I know that gaming and all that stuff is becoming so popular. Will there be an area for gaming, or because these national places have competitions for gaming?
When you say gaming, do you mean?
I'm like.
Esports, like
Okay.
esports.
Not
like gambling.
Not
Esports
casino
gaming.
gambling type stuff.
Esports, sorry.
Esports. Yeah, that's been brought up a few times. I think within the indoor facility there'd be an opportunity to do that. They have not within the plans. There's not like a dedicated, this is the gaming room, but that's one of many different types of tournaments or sports that could be brought in, certainly, I think.
Pickleball, I mean, it's the one that's growing.
Pickleball, man. People love it. Yes.
If I didn't ask, I was going to get in trouble.
You have to. So, yes, pickleball can be done on the indoor facility. And I think they're going to look to try to do that. And during the week, the pickleball users are very avid people. When there's not tournaments going on, they'll be able to use the facility to do pickleball, especially when the weather's not good out.
Is it really? I know that you talk about basketball, you talk about volleyball, baseball, and softball, but really there are other sports opportunities. Just kind of how it fits in and how they have to use the facilities. That'd be the correct way to say that.
Yeah. So I think I want to say there's like 27 different potential sports or uses that can happen. I mean, on the indoor side, other ones that come to mind, you have dance competitions, cheerleading competitions, badminton. Anything that you really can do inside. There's some tournament that wants to do that. I forget what you call indoor soccer, but all those types of things. On the outdoor side, I mean, it can be things like 7-on-7 tournaments, lacrosse, things that might not even be that popular here, but teams from other areas would come to play here.
A middle area for it. When you talk about all the stuff that you're doing from the Pierce family, from Rural King, when you're out there in the public, and I know you're out a lot, what's been the community reaction so far? I know probably you get a lot of, hey, attaboys, but anybody just kind of like, wow, I didn't think about that, or good stories, funny stories?
I will tell you, my life has gotten better now that Dunkin' Donuts has a sign on their building. People stop asking once that part happens.
Yeah. I wasn't even going to ask today.
You don't.
I go by it every
people
day
are like, it's gonna. All right, they believe it's gonna happen now. I think. I'm trying to think if there's a good, funny story.
Is it going to be Dunkin' Donuts only? I heard there was a rumor that it could be a
So there is extra space within that facility. So they build an extra lease space. Okay. The franchisee of the Dunkin' Donuts, they own that property. Right. So we're not involved in trying to fill that. They would lease it out of whoever it might be. I think we all have ideas of what might go really good with the Dunkin' Donuts that you see other places. But from what I had last heard, I don't know if they have that space filled yet.
So I go back to my original question. Any funny stories or something?
Okay, I'll give you this one. I'm constantly entertained by the amount of rumors that I hear about. And I'm convinced there's like a committee meeting, Sunday nights where people sit around and they just try to come up with whatever they think can happen. So I'm always fascinated to find out about the things that we're allegedly working on or things that allegedly have happened. So one that made me laugh was moving dirt out at the site had stopped for a little while. And so someone informed me that we had run out of money and the project was over, which was unfortunate for all of those of us working on it. And what really was happening was there was some major power lines that went right through the heart of the site that we had to relocate, and that involves not just getting Ameren involved to have to move those, but there's a whole state process with that. And so that took longer than was really planned, but they couldn't do any more work because they did everything they could up to that point. So that one just made me laugh because I heard from probably 4 or 5 people asking if the whole thing was dead.
Well, we'll go into the rumors thing now because I heard something like somebody said, hey, they're going to have a 2-story arcade/bar that's already committed to it. I know you won't be able to say yes or no, but have you heard that rumor as well?
I've not heard that rumor, and that would be, I will tell you, that one would be news to me.
Okay,
that's good. Now, in the facility, there is a family entertainment center that in theory is the height of the building, so it's 2 stories. Because I think there's going to be like rock climbing or something in there you can do. Cool. But of a dedicated bar with no, I'm not familiar with that one myself.
Yeah, my grandma has been one of the ones spreading the rumors, so I'll apologize on her behalf, and then I'll have to apologize to her because she's probably watching this.
Yeah.
I just know what I know, or if somebody tells me something, I'll just put it out there as information. Let's go.
Yeah.
I guess it won't be you as much, but if you talk to the Emerald Lakers, are they gonna? Is this gonna be a nationwide marketing when they're going out looking for teams and events?
Mm-hmm. So Sports Facilities is the one that's kind of tasked with bringing the tournaments to town. They have a lot of networks within the different types of sports of how they put those tournaments on. So I've learned, this was something I didn't know before, is depending on the sport, the tournaments get organized in different ways. So, for example, in like baseball, there's a group out there called Perfect Game, and they put on a lot of big tournaments. And so organizing them might be, they already have a relationship with Perfect Game, they set up a tournament, and that's how they do it. There's also people that put on individual tournaments, and so they might reach out and they organize them. In soccer, for instance, a lot of times there's a club, and they put on a tournament, and they organize it themselves. And so depending on the sport, I think it depends on how it gets organized, but they will to answer your question, depending on the group, they're really looking more regional of who they're going to attract. Generally, the rule of thumb is teams will come from up to 5 hours away. The sweet spot's really that 3 to 5, and that will be the teams and groups they probably focus most on.
Outside of teams, like if individuals and families want to use the facility, is it going to be like a YMCA style thing where you pay for membership, like pay each time you go?
We're still probably sorting that out. Okay. There'll probably have to be some kind of nominal charge to use the facility just to help cover cleanup or setup stuff. But no component of this was based upon the funding model of charging dues to the local community. We want to find ways to partner, specifically like with YMCA. They don't have a lot of places for youth soccer. We got soccer fields. Mm-hmm. So how can we do those things? And we'd probably look to do that at little to no cost. So
that was the other thing I'd heard is like how do you partner to make sure that the other local places that have leagues stay in business, for lack of a better way to say it? And I think that you want them to stay in business.
Absolutely want them to stay in business. And honestly, we're hoping that this spurs a number of additional club teams starting up. So we're hoping, there's no local volleyball club, for example. There's no local soccer club. I'm hoping that this will help spur those things into existence. And people that have existing teams can use the facility to practice during the weeks. And we're not looking to infringe on any of the existing tournaments. So whether it be, like the Pride Group or somebody that's got a lot of big tournaments already in existence, we're not looking to take those tournaments over from them. If anything, maybe we can augment their tournaments and offer it to be larger.
Because you only have so many age groups on a 4-field, even like for
and
JV.
I know those are important for their funding mechanism. So a lot of those travel teams will put on a big tournament. And that's how they pay for their travel. So no, we're not looking to impede on that. If anything, we want to find ways we get creative. My goal is we help elevate local sports, and then maybe when they get to high school, we can win more.
Win?
Yeah. Yes.
I'll remain silent on that at this point, but I agree with you. Blake Pierce, we have 1 minute left. Is there anything else about Warren James, Rural King, or Emerald Acres you'd like to get the information out? Let me know that.
Well, as I mentioned, at the winery, still looking for additional employees if people are interested, and to come see us. We're open every day of the week, and we do have wine now. That was exciting. And then on the Emerald Acres front, I would just say patience. That project's going to start coming along, but these things take a long time. And we'll hopefully start construction on some of those commercial tenants over the next 4 to 5 months as well.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for coming in. We're sorry we messed up. We were going to have Cole in, but we had some miscommunication. So, Cole, next time. I know you don't like the media, but you can come in for half an hour. So, Corbin, great questions today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, hey, thank you. And again, congratulations on the new baby. I think that's probably the biggest news of all, right?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
That's one that keeps me up at night.
Yeah. There you go. We are WEIU. Everybody have a great day. This is Issues and Attitudes. We'll be back next week.